Come check out our awesome channels on YouTube and Twitch. The Classic Order gameplay is just for you!
Okay, after all that, I just changed positions in the room and stuff. Now, first of all, to talk about, we're going to do the 13 Horrors on this show. And the 13 Horrors is, you probably noticed with all of my other stuff, I've been holding up on Halloween and just using the same Halloween subscribe from the Candy Crush episode that I did. But I know I love Donkey Kong Jr. It's one of my most favorite games and everything. We all know that. I loved Nintendo since I was a kid. It was my Disney World. Nintendo always will be. Always have a compassion for them above all the companies I ever had. I love a lot of companies and respect for a lot of people, but Nintendo is more of my dream world since I was a kid, and that's another subject in time to talk about. But the 13 Horrors of Halloween that I'm doing, it's going to be episodes that probably going to lead into November. It's probably going to take, because it's going to take a lot more time. And that's why I launched the Donkey Kong Jr. series, which I need to do Donkey Kong. But, and you can probably hear my brother laughing in the background. This is the aftermath. You get to hear all kinds of sounds, all kinds of things. Poblibius, don't suck me in. No. Okay, that's another series that's coming. But the idea is Donkey Kong Jr., I did it of compassion. It was targeted for young teens. And mostly people from my generation, because we love comedy, we love humor, and we love action-packed stuff. It's a little squeaky on this desk. It jiggles. You hear the squeak? It sounds like a little mouse. Well, anyways, besides my rumpus making a squeaker with the desk. That don't sound too good, but... but, I was thinking about, make the real Donkey Kong Jr. come in with Donkey Kong, and you know how Nintendo had those awesome Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. costumes, and they come in, you're like, they take out the other gorilla. Oh, I was a gorilla the whole time. I'm thinking of doing something like that. That's a note document. I might do that, because that was like the retro 80s look. They actually used a regular gorilla costume and then had a big bulky gorilla costume. They did it for the Atari 2600. They did it for the Nintendo and ColecoVision. So to get advertisement for the companies straight from the arcade that it was built for. And that was the true story of that. And but anyways, yeah, I talked about those claws and stuff. If you want to know what I meant by those claws and zombie hands, we're going to be getting that a lot through the 13 Horrors. They're going to keep knocking at my door, I hear. And that's just like a horrible nightmare on steroids coming after me, you guys. But the idea is we're going to be dealing with zombies during that 13 Horrors episodes all the way to probably a little past November. That's why, like I said, I launched that early. So, and I already had a few of those knocks with those things. You want to take a look at that? It's in the other room, because they love that other room. I mean, it's the same thing over and over again. He's a little smaller. I mean, I actually had it all wrapped around, and it looked really good. It just fitted on him, and it looked like it was part of him. And you know he was bulky, and when I put it on, you could tell at the end, and I had it blurred, just for circumstances. I didn't know what way I was going to be filming with it, so I purposely put on a blur at the end. So it's just a special effect that came with the camera. You could put on blur, sharpness, or highlight, or night vision. So that was just the thing with the camera. So that's actually how it was recorded at the end, giving out trick or treat. And I did scare some people that had a trick or treating, that was trick or treating at the house. But I also put some Game Genie review, Game Genie code cheats. If you have the newer anniversary regular Nintendo for Donkey Kong, it ain't gonna work the Game Genie code. The arcade was a fabulous arcade. It was detailed, but not as good at sound graphic. It made it a ColecoVision and television, and a couple other things, including PC and Mac, and back in the 1990s, 1980s.
That's where it was at, at that time. And then it was on Nintendo, and Mario was the zookeeper and Luigi, but the thing was, it was just zookeeper, and they just put him in those colors, and they didn't give it the name until franchise Mario Brothers was coming about, and that's when Donkey Kong made it to. It was all Nintendo to begin with. Was one of the things. It was actually Nintendo to begin with, but it was on these other systems at the time, and there was like a big fight about that. It was also a big fight about between King Kong and Nintendo. They had a dispute between Universal Studios and Nintendo. It wasn't just other systems getting off on Donkey Kong, Nintendo's product, and Donkey Kong Jr. It was a big dispute over the names, but they came to agreements between all the companies and stuff. For what was done, and what was going to be Nintendo for there and out, that's what it was. It was like a big thing to have that game, because it was such a good created game, and I loved that game. Donkey Kong Jr. and Donkey Kong was like, the originals were just fabulous, and I would do anything to get my hands on an actual arcade machine. So it is a wonderful game. It's just very wonderful. I could beat those games in a heartbeat in a second. I don't even have to remember how to play it. It's very simple, very easy to do, and it was a wonderful game when I grew up playing it in the 1980s and the 1990s. When I saw Donkey Kong Classics, I said, "Oh, I gotta have Donkey Kong Classics." I begged for that game, and I got it out of the best store in Montana, Great Falls, right next to Washington State. I was living in Montana at the time, and I said, "Oh," and it's like, yeah. So it's just a game, and I still have the game, and I'm proud to play it. I have a lot of great games from Nintendo, and I have a few off-brand ones, but it's a really good game. Like I said, if you don't know the classics, it's an easy game to beat and enjoy. There's nothing to worry about having any. You don't even really need cheats to begin with. You can't be that lousy of a player. It's just to have some fun, take some time with it. It's a pretty good game. I mean, what more could you ever want? But I also won, like I said, I won the Mario 3 Nabisco when I was a kid. I came in second place, $10. All I had to pay for the game, $5 to $10 for Mario 3 instead of paying the $40 on the doggone thing. So it was a pretty good deal, and I got it on a Sunday when I got the reward back from Nintendo. It would have been cool if I did come in first place. I would have had a free arcade of Mario and that $250,000 in the tour around Nintendo. But that's okay with me, because I was just happy to have the game, because just to get the newest release, that's always the biggest thing of gamers. Even back in the Atari time, when there was something new, and if you were a gamer, that was the thing to actually do, is get that game. And Nintendo is one of my most favorite companies, as well as Microsoft. And no offense to Nintendo, because I took Donkey Kong Jr. out. I think Nintendo needs to explain, how special Donkey Kong Jr. is, and how special that character is to Donkey Kong. And stop comparing Diddy Kong. Stop comparing Diddy Kong and those other characters to Donkey Kong, because it's a monkey. Monkeys have long tails. So, Donkey Kong Jr., it should be a series explaining Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Kong Jr. looks just like his pop. And if you've seen the original commercial, I had it on my last episode. I kind of tweaked the sound and stuff. And if you've seen the covers of Donkey Kong Jr. and what he actually looks like, and if you played the N64 Mario Kart, Donkey Kong Jr. is in it. Actually, the original Super Nintendo. I mean, the Super Nintendo. My mistake. The Super Nintendo. Oh, the Super Nintendo and the N64 Mario Kart. Those are the two best Mario Karts ever. There should be a collector's edition between the Super Nintendo, the 64, and the Game Boy Advance version. You should be all on three games on one package for one of the newer Nintendo CD collectors. It would be called the Mario Kart Racing Classic Anniversary. It'd be just like Donkey Kong Classics, This is a wonderful thing, and I'd be proud to work for Nintendo or Microsoft. I'd love to have both companies come at me, somehow to come an agreement for me to make video games for them, because I know how to make video games. I just wish I had some of the latest software because I can't afford it. It's just every time, and it's rarer to find the newest software, and it's easier to find the older software. Actually, you can't find none of this stuff. And the only thing you can find is the newest thing. And they want, give me over $250,000, like the Mario 3 prize, for example. But no, they want over $3,000, the quarter of $100,000 for a freaking sack of software. Is it that fully animated, fully divided? Was it that divided? Where it's a full package? I'm like, oh my gosh. How could you afford that for a game engine? So I'm using old game engines, classic, and I just put whatever I can together through RPGing, which was really great for Game Boy Advance. And I'm also doing classic 3DOs. And some of the stuff's getting updated every year from this one company overseas, but that's pretty much just my scenario. I do love Nintendo. Don't get mad at me. It was comedy. This was comedy. That was comedy. When I do my game reviews, it's comedy, folks. Don't get mad about it. I do love Donkey Kong Jr. It's one of my favorite games when I was growing up. I could not really diss it, but I just had to bring the laugh, the joy. This is my aftermath, I'm telling you. It's not truly an episode, but this is also giving you the code and tip for the game Genie. If you do have an original Nintendo like I do, I still have my very first 1983 or 1989? Well, yeah, no, I got mine in 1989. That's right. I got my Nintendo in 1989. So I got my Nintendo in 1989, and I was proud to have it. And that was one of my first games, Donkey Kong Jr. And the Super Mario was when they released the Super Mario Collect 3-pack, which was Duck Hunt, Mario, and Track Meet. And I have that with the Power Pad. A lot of people never folded up their Power Pads, and the animals will do dirty things on it. And if people had animals, and other children will destroy it. And if you don't fold your Power Pad, put Power Pad up and put it away properly and in the correct way, and be careful with the cable, it'll break. And that was the same for the Light Zapper. No one took care of it. My Light Zapper is mid-condition to this day. My Light Zapper will work on any TV. I even have the Namco Zapper for the PS2. I take care of it. I would love to come up with technologies and make old technologies possible for this new HD era, because how could these children experience the things that us older people grow up with? And the relics, they're antiques. Some of them might end up in a museum one day, and you might not even see none of this stuff in the world. And even the first Nintendo game might be a museum relic. And same with Atari and a lot of these other things that came out. And you can't be mad at your competition for what they have done. They made history as well. I love Microsoft very much. I love Nintendo very much. And those are two companies for gaming and animations I have an appreciation for. I would like to get together with these guys and build a future engine. Because there's hacks out there, there's modifications, there's PC troubles, there's things out there happening, and it destroys the game to the ones who love it. There's even has been games reported on entertainment systems. I don't know if it's Nintendo, Microsoft, or PlayStation, or any of these PCs, mostly PCs. No doubt about it, it's PCs, but I'm talking about PS systems, Nintendo systems, Xbox. I hear there's some games that actually get hit with a virus drop. So I says this is getting pretty bad if things are like this actually happening, and it destroys the fun for the players, even though the servers may be dedicated or not. And I says, well, we got to come up with a solution, and we need to all get together, Nintendo and Microsoft, the two biggest companies, including me, because I have these crazy ideas that it's basic 101. Everybody may know it. But these ideas actually help with the gaming, and it helps with the better platforms. And I may not have the latest, newest stuff, like I said, all the time. I do have Daz Studio. That's the only latest thing I have in mocap. But then I have my engines are outdated. But I'd like to get some people in on some of my drawings and my ideas. I just desecrate these ideas out of my mind. It says, well, if they did this, they put a slider where people are leaving multiplayer and coming in multiplayer and make it easier than watching a death-defying scene where the people are just hanging waiting for another player to come in. And it just hangs out the servers. Just continue playing. Don't worry about those people coming in and out. Continue to play. Don't show them who left. Let their name pop up and fade away. If they want to see who left, they hit the select button and a slider scrolls up and comes down like the Zelda map on Zelda. Or like Rainbow Vegas 6, they usually have a tool thing to switch your weapons. And some of these games, you know how they switch the weapons? Well, have a slider or something that pops up, like how these items and weapon holders on some of these games out there. I mean, there's some Microsoft games, some Nintendo games that are like that. And what have it for the multiplayer. So okay, they left, they came, they gone. If you want to see the score or anything, you hit the certain button to release that pop-up. You know?
Well, we'll be doing the 13 horrors of Halloween, like I said. It'll be carrying out to November 1st. That's why I put the Donkey Kong Jr. up first. And that's how come it's going to be very, very, it's going to run in from probably this 30th to all the way to November 1st and a little bit more, because it's going to be like a monster Saturday movie, like I said, and that's what's gonna lead into. So, and it's gonna be like one of those, like those old '90s things that they started doing, and even in the '80s they did a little bit of that. They had like these TV monster things, and they'll be showing the black and whites and stuff. Well, this is what we're gonna do with my game review thing. It'll be going on. There'll be a Halloween special from now, because that's why you're seeing a lot of these monster things or the Halloween special subscribes that are on the things. Mostly Halloween special subscribes on end, but there will be more of a monster thing going on. But it will be the 13 horrors of Halloween for my game reviews.
But that's pretty much my scenario, and I hope you enjoyed this aftermath, and you got the codes and things for the game Genie on Donkey Kong, and thank you.
Thank you for visiting our wonderful YouTube channel. We hope you come back again to check out our other great videos.